Mother Green Lady, we're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Unbeaten up-and-comer from right here in the US of A, the captain, Virginia Fuchs, posted this to her social media, and it reads, any fighters in Houston, San Antonio, Dallas, Louisiana area that would like to get a fight, hit me up. Glove Up Promotions has given me a spot on their February 11th card in Houston. We can discuss purse and other details when you have contacted me.
I think this is a testament to how there's more work needs doing.
A testament to how the American boxing scene for the ladies is still a bit behind the European one. A fighter is talented, an unbeaten up-and-comer, a blue-chip prospect with the amateur background of Virginia. They shouldn't have to do their own legwork. They shouldn't have to seek out their own opponents. They should have a managerial and promotional team that takes care of all of that. But it's my understanding that Virginia, she's a network and promotional free agent. She's not actually with anybody. And even though she's got a fight coming up,
kind of seems like she's fending for herself.
Virginia Fuchs debuted as a professional last year, and she fought 2 times last year. She made her pro debut opposite the ring Jiffy Morales and capped off the year in October opposite the ring Gemma Rueg.
Can only hope that this year turns out to be a tad bit more productive than the previous year was, that we get to see Virginia in action at least more than twice.
Ideally, this early in a fighter's career, they should be fighting 3 to 4 times a year, not just 2.
Virginia Fuchs, 34 years old, fighting out of the southpaw stance.
Born and raised in Houston, Texas, she's a hell of a fighter.
She's registered as a flyweight.
Her last contest, her last bout, took place in the women's super flyweight division. Super flyweight, that's 115 pounds. That's where Argentina's Clara Lescurat reigns as WBA champion. Ashley Gonzalez Macias reigns as WBC champion. Argentina's own Maciela Lujan, she's got the IBF, and Japan's own Mizuki Hiruta, she's got the WBO, the women's super flyweight division. Doesn't have the same profile as some other weight classes, some other divisions that major promotional outfits are invested in, like the women's bantamweight division or the super bantamweight division, the featherweight division. Those divisions have more of a profile than the women's super flyweight division, but the talent pool, it is deep.
The women's super flyweight division desperately needs a shot in the arm, and it could come in the form of Virginia Fuchs, provided that she can get some major backing behind her, because she has all the talent she needs to become a champion, and not just a champion, a unified champion, maybe a multi-weight champion.
Maybe she just needs the promotion. She's one of those fighters to whiz, you already know. All she needs are the fights. All she needs is the opportunity. This is a champion in the making.
But without the promotion and the financial backing, it's that much harder to get there. It reminds me of Melissa Odessa.
What we saw in the fledgling career of Melissa Odessa some time ago. Melissa Odessa, one of the more talented fighters anywhere at or around the women's bantamweight division, but promotional issues and a scarcity of options, a scarcity of opportunities led her to cross over to mixed martial arts.
Because she had a background in that too.
She had all the talent in the world. She had all the talent to see herself become a champion, but boxing just wasn't working out, so she ended up crossing over to MMA.
Gotta make a living.
No, I don't know that Virginia Fuchs has a background in mixed martial arts, but essentially what I'm getting at is I'd hate to see a talented fighter,
good one,
could be a good career, squandered and falling through the cracks based on a scarcity of opportunities in the American boxing scene.
I mean, Top Rank isn't exactly doing a whole lot to expand their catalog of female fighters. They've got Sinicia Estrada and they've got Michaela Mayer, but that's just 2 fighters.
It's really just 2 fighters. They don't host the same robust stable of Valkyries that either Matchroom or Boxer over there in the UK.
Yeah, they have quite a few female fighters signed. Wasserman, too.
The effort to grow the sport here in the States is not the same as it is in Europe. In any event, Virginia Fuchs appears to have a fight date lined up. She just needs a dance partner. She needs an opponent.
I'm sure there's somebody around.
I think she'll be able to find someone.
It's just watching a blue-chip prospect, a talented one, scrounge around for opponents like this.
I vaguely recall that a few weeks ago, Virginia Fuchs called out Eddie Hearn, stating that he should use more American fighters for shows that happen here in America. The problem was that Virginia is not actually signed to Matchroom, so Eddie is under no obligation to use her.
Not unless she enters into a promotional deal with them, and Matchroom, Eddie Hearn, that guy seems to have a full plate. He's got a lot of fighters to accommodate.
Wouldn't mind it at all if he picked her up, but as stated, he already has a lot of fighters to accommodate. Male fighters, female fighters.
I honestly feel like it's Top Rank that needs to step it up. It's Top Rank that needs to step up to the plate and sign more female fighters.
American ones. What better promoter to promote them.
On what better platform? ESPN is the biggest sports network in the country. Virginia Fuchs would be right at home there.
I just hope the situation gets better. In other news, a story that broke a few days ago, Amazon and DAZN signed a global distribution deal. DAZN is available through Prime Video channels in Spain and Germany from today, January 19th, and will continue to roll out globally throughout the year.
This deal will help to enhance the streaming platform's profile.
Amazon and DAZN have agreed to a deal that will see the sports streamer available as a new Prime Video channel globally. DAZN is available through Prime Video channels in Spain and Germany from today, January 19th, a few days ago, and will continue to roll out globally throughout the year. DAZN holds rights to a number of major sports, including Bundesliga, English Premier League, J-League, La Liga, Series A and UEFA Champions League, Formula 1, NBA, MotoGP, and the UFC.
People tend to forget, Americans in particular, that DAZN doesn't just do boxing, you know. This being a boxing channel, when we talk about the DAZN platform, that's the content that we talk about.
But that's not all the content the platform provides. This new partnership with DAZN is an exciting step forward for Prime Video's global sports offering and gives our customers more choice of the best live and on-demand sports all in one place, said Jay Marine, Global Head of Sports, Prime Video.
In all the ways that DAZN has been looking to expand upon their catalog, Amazon Prime is doing the same. And Amazon Prime, as we all know, that's an industry giant.
This is great news for sports fans around the world, with even more ways to access DAZN's broad selection of premium sports content, added DAZN CEO Shay Segev. We are excited to create a long-term global partnership with Prime Video as we continue to innovate in digital sports experiences for customers. This partnership with industry giant Amazon Prime will only help to enhance DAZN's profile with the consumers.
Things were a bit more insulated for the DAZN platform before, relying on what were already existing fans and the already existing market of sports fans.
Not exclusive to boxing, knowing where to find the content that they were looking for.
And partnering up with Prime Video opens up a new avenue of opportunity, so to speak, being able to advertise to that many more consumers, that many more viewers across a broader consumer base.
Amazon customers, Amazon's consumer base, and those viewers.
That's the greatest benefit for DAZN in this partnership, and for Amazon Prime, the benefit for them is they diversify their catalog of content. Now they have that many more sports-related
content to provide to their consumers.
A little over a week ago, I saw BoxingScene.com run a story about DAZN's losses, not last year, but the year before last, in 2021, and I thought to myself,
it's strange that BoxingScene.com was running a story like that here in 2023, because if you want a more accurate reflection of where DAZN is right now this year, one would think you'd do a story on last year's metrics, last year's numbers, not the year before last.
Not 2021.
Oddly enough, I don't see the boxing scribes talking about this more recent story, this more recent revelation that now DAZN is in bed with industry giant Prime Video, thereby enhancing their streaming platform's profile exponentially.
Oddly enough, I don't see the same boxing scribes. I don't see the same journals talking about this.
Even though they found time to talk about DAZN's losses in 2021, and how there are those out there who choose to frame those losses as Eddie Hearn's ineptitude.
If you can believe that, there are those out there who choose to frame DAZN's losses, which were, in fact, calculated losses.
Losses that were, in fact, anticipated. As DAZN was attempting to diversify their catalog of content, they were purchasing the sports rights to other sports, not exclusive to boxing.
But you had people in the industry, people like Leonard Ellaby, people like Bob Arum, framing it as if those losses, in the billions...
In layman's terms, DAZN had to spend a lot of money to get the sports rights to certain sports abroad.
That's what those losses were, you understand. It wasn't Eddie Hearn blowing billions in the sport of boxing.
But you had people in the industry. You had people back here in America, people like Leonard Ellerby, framing it as if it was Eddie Hearn that lost all of those billions overspending on shows, overspending on fights. The usual boo-birds that they pander to ate that stuff right up. Bunch of guys and girls that can't read above the 9th grade level, they actually believed him. Actually believed that Eddie Hearn blew that amount of money on those boxing matches just because Leonard Ellerby said it. They can't be bothered to read a 2-minute or even a 1-minute article that details where exactly the money went and what it's for.
You guys are fucking stupid, man.
There is no other way to describe them. Since 2018, when DAZN debuted in America, you had a lot of guys saying that the platform would never get off the ground, that they'd go bankrupt, that they'd go under, when everything we've seen so far since they debuted in America...
I mean, even after they calculated their initial losses, and there were always going to be losses.
That's how it goes. That's how it works. But even after they calculated their initial losses and recapitalized, these guys still didn't get the hint.
You guys are fucking stupid, man.
Even after they announced how many territories they had expanded to, and even after they announced that they're partnering up with industry giant Prime Video.
Even after they announced that the Canelo vs. Golovkin trilogy, that pay-per-view,
it sold over 1 million pay-per-view buys. Even after that, these guys don't want to believe it.
You guys are fucking stupid, man.
It's stupid. There's no other way to put it.
You guys are fucking stupid, man.
All those content creators here in the YTBC that said quite plainly they didn't think DAZN would last, where are they now?
Their little forecasts.
It's been approximately 4 going on 5 years since DAZN debuted in the American market. And everything they said would happen, the opposite happened. The platform didn't shrink, it didn't fade away, it grew.
These guys are mentally diseased. You have fighters like Canelo Alvarez and Anthony Joshua, the biggest name in women's boxing, Katie Taylor.
And you still have people out there that like to pretend that nobody's subscribed and nobody's watching.
Oh, is that why Amazon Prime decided to partner up with them?
Because nobody's watching, I'm telling you. These fucking guys are stupid, man. They can't see the forest through the trees. They really can't.
Even if you show them the way.
And finally, in men's welterweight news, Virgil Ortiz and Stanionis will meet in a rescheduled welterweight bout on April 29th in Texas, sources told Mike Coppinger. This was a fight that Stanionis, WBA regular champion, secondary champion, this is a fight that he really couldn't get away from because it was ordered by the WBA.
Virgil's the next man in line. That's the way it is.
Initially, their bout was postponed due to a reported appendicitis that Stanionis underwent surgery for, but now they've got a new date and they're ready to roll.
Do they have a choice?
Not really. Virgil Ortiz sports a professional record of 19 wins, no losses, no draws, 19 knockouts. 19 wins, 19 knockouts. That's 100% knockout percentage for the 24-year-old from Grand Prairie, Texas.
Whereas Stanionis from Lithuania, he sports a professional record of 14 wins, no losses, no draws, 9 knockouts.
Punch for punch, I think Virgil Ortiz packs a bigger punch, a much bigger punch than Stanionis, who is a solid fighter and a decent-sized puncher. Decent.
Not as big a puncher as Virgil.
You have to remember that Stanionis went the distance with a very past-it, over-the-hill Thomas Dulorme. I don't think for a second that same Thomas Dulorme would have been able to go the distance with Virgil Ortiz. I think Virgil would have got that guy out of there just as quickly as Jaron Boots Ennis got that guy out of there.
We last saw Stanionis opposite the ring Radzov Butaev, then unbeaten Radzov Butaev, and he was a solid fighter. That was a solid fight and a solid scalp for Stanionis.
But even that guy, even Radzov Butaev, I don't think that guy goes 12 rounds with Virgil Ortiz. I don't think any of the guys that Stanionis had faced so far would go the distance with Virgil the way some of them went the distance with him.
Virgil's a big, strong kid.
And the way that Stanionis and Radzov Butaev were fighting in sequence, taking turns on each other. First you hit me, then I hit you, then you hit me.
Neither had the ring savvy or the ring IQ to catch the other man in between the punches, in between the shots, to hit the guy with something he doesn't see, he doesn't brace himself for, that could do a lot of damage. Neither guy.
And they're both solid fighters, Stanionis and Radzov Butaev. They both are, but I don't think either man goes the distance with Virgil. I don't. I think that kid's got too much firepower for either of them. Even worse, that it's been a while since Stanionis saw action.
The night of the fight, it will have been roughly a year's time since the Radzov Butaev fight of last year. The night of the fight, it will have been roughly a year's time since Stanionis had a fight, whereas Virgil, he saw action more recently in August of last year.
Neither guy was all that active in 2022. Both Virgil and Deimantas Stanionis, respectively, only saw action once, just once, last year, but Virgil's fight was a bit more recent than Deimantas Stanionis's.
Who really got screwed if you think about it?
In late 2021, Yordanis Ugas, the then WBA champion, was ordered to give Deimantas Stanionis his title shot, but they managed to get Deimantas Stanionis to stand down, and had he got his title shot, who knows? Maybe he could have beat Yordanis Ugas. I would have given him better odds against Ugas than what I'm giving him against Ortiz.
Yeah, I think Virgil Ortiz is going to knock him out.
They got Deimantas Stanionis to step aside to allow Ugas to unify with Spence, and they got him to step aside again for what was supposed to be the negotiations between Spence and Crawford.
And we know those negotiations fell apart.
Currently, Virgil Ortiz is ranked at number 1 by way of the WBO. He is in position to become Crawford's mandatory challenger, but once he beats Deimantas Stanionis for his WBA regular title, he will be eliminated from the WBA's ranked standings.
He will be removed for being in possession of that WBA title, that secondary title.
Keith Thurman, who's ranked at number 2, right behind Virgil, as you can imagine, once he shares the ring with Errol, if he loses, he's going to lose ground in the WBO's ranked standings as well. And the man ranked behind Keith is Alexis Rocha.
Golden Boy Promotions' own Alexis Rocha.
He's got a fight coming up later on this month on the 28th opposite the ring George Ashe. If he wins that fight, he will be in a pole position to become Terence Crawford's next mandatory challenger.
And we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
It's not necessarily the fight we all want, the fight we'd prefer to see Terence Crawford in. It seems like all hope is gone for a Crawford versus Spence fight, but what about Crawford versus Ortiz? This upcoming Stanionis fight may usher in the next era of welterweight action.
If Virgil Ortiz beats Deimantas Stanionis, he becomes WBA secondary champion, and he may be elevated to full champion status once the titles are vacated.
And in all likelihood, they will be, because I don't think Errol Spence Jr. is coming back.
Just the other day, Oscar De La Hoya was tweeting about a potential Crawford versus Ortiz fight. That's the next big fight.
It's time to forget about Errol Spence Jr. It's time to forget about what was supposed to be his undisputed campaign. That whole thing was a pipe dream.
The next big fight in the men's welterweight division may very well be Crawford versus Ortiz.